All right, let's go on an incredible journey through time. We're going to explore one of the most fundamental quests we as humans have ever had, the simple, burning desire to conquer distance. This is the story of transport, from our very first steps to the giant leaps we're taking today. But first, just stop for a second and try to imagine something. Picture a world where your entire universe is only as big as the distance you can walk. A world where the next village is a full day's journey away, and the idea of another continent, well, that's just an impossible dream. For most of human history, that was our reality. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to trace our path through 5 key ages of movement. We'll start in a world before the wheel, then see how we conquered land and water, harnessed the incredible power of steam, took to the skies, and finally, we'll take a peek at where we're all headed next. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. Our story kicks off at the dawn of humanity, in a time that was defined not by technology, but by the simple biological limits of our own 2 feet. You know, for thousands and thousands of years, transport wasn't really a concept. It was just walking. Early humans were nomadic. They had to follow animal herds just to survive. Every single journey was this epic undertaking, measured not in hours or miles, but in footsteps and entire seasons. The sheer struggle of it all, of just trying to carry what you needed, it forced us to look for a better way. So how did we make that first big leap? Well, it wasn't one single eureka moment, but more of a logical progression. First, you have the problem. Carrying heavy stuff is absolutely exhausting. Then comes the first solution. Hey, what if we domesticated some animals to help share the load? But the real game changer? That came from a simple observation. Someone, somewhere, saw a round log rolling downhill and had this little spark of an idea that would literally change the world forever. And with that little spark, we enter our second era. See, this is the point where humanity started to move things not just with muscle, but with mechanics. And the world, well, it was about to get a whole lot smaller. The wheel wasn't just a circle of wood. It was a revolution. That simple idea of a rolling log got refined into wooden discs. Then someone had the genius idea to connect them with an axle. Suddenly you have carts and chariots. For the very first time in history, we could move more than we could carry, and we could travel faster than we could walk. It was a total game changer. Now, what's really fascinating is that all this human ingenuity wasn't just happening on land. At pretty much the exact same time we were mastering the wheel, we were also figuring out the water. The first step was simple, right? Just lash some logs together and you've got a raft. But soon, those rafts evolved into more complex boats. We were pushing the boundaries on 2 fronts at once. And this is the crucial turning point. Once we figured out how to add sails to those boats, how to harness the power of the wind, everything changed. This wasn't just about moving people from one shore to another anymore. This was about moving goods, ideas, entire cultures across vast oceans. This was the dawn of a connected world, the very beginning of a global economy. Now, for thousands of years, we were pretty much limited by the power of muscle and wind. But then, in the 18th century, a brand new force arrived on the scene that would dramatically, and I mean dramatically, accelerate the pace of human life. And that force was steam. This whole period was just an explosion of innovation. It really kicked off when James Watt perfected the steam engine. Then, a guy named George Stephenson brilliantly applied that tack to create the first steam-powered railway. All of a sudden, we had these iron horses thundering across entire continents. And at the same time, we were even starting to see the birth of personal transport, with the very first bicycles and early motors showing up. I mean, the comparison in speed is just staggering. An animal-drawn cart, it's a bit of a step up from walking, sure, but the steam train? That was a quantum leap. It's one of the single biggest jumps in speed in the entire history of transportation. It's not even close. And the impact of that speed, it was profound. Just think about it for a second. A cross-country journey that used to be a dangerous, months-long expedition could now be done safely in a matter of weeks and eventually just days. This did way more than just move people around. It stitched entire nations together. It fueled the Industrial Revolution. It even forced us to invent standardized time zones just so the trains could run on a predictable schedule. Society itself was being reshaped. So, we conquered the land. We conquered the sea. There was really only one great frontier left to explore: the sky. This next chapter in our story is all about turning an age-old dream into a breathtaking reality. This says it all, doesn't it? For pretty much all of human history,
flying was the stuff of myths and legends. But then, in 1903, the Wright brothers did what everyone thought was impossible. And in doing so, they opened up a whole new third dimension for human travel.
And that one little dream, that first flight, just snowballed into the incredible age of motion that we all live in today. We now have jets that can break the sound barrier, bullet trains that make the landscape blur, ridiculously complex road networks that connect almost every town, and massive cargo ships the size of small cities that move goods around the planet 24/7. So, after this amazing historical trip, we've arrived in the present day. And that leaves us facing a pretty thrilling and really important question. What's next? The next horizon? Well, it's already starting to take shape all around us. We see it in the massive shift to electric cars as we try to build a more sustainable future. We see it in reusable rockets and space shuttles that are pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible for interplanetary travel. And yep, we're even on the verge of making flying cars a real everyday thing. And all of this brings us to the real core takeaway of our whole story. Transportation has never, ever been just about getting from point A to point B. Every single one of these innovations, from the very first wheel to the modern rocket, has been a powerful engine driving trade, culture, science, and the very fabric of our civilization forward. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this final thought. Every major leap forward in human history has been tied directly to a leap in how we move. Now, as we stand on the brink of whole new revolutions in transport, the real question isn't just how we're going to travel, but where will these new journeys take us as a species?